Hello everyone, thanks for attending. So, quick word of introduction about myself. So I'm Vincent Legrand, I'm working as solution architect for Gaia-X and on my spare time for Airbus as well. And I'm with Jonas.
Yeah, my name is Jonas. I'm from the Fraunhofer ISST, working in the sister project of Gaia-X named Aerospace-X.
Thank you. So I will start with a quick introduction of what Gaia-X is for those who don't know us. So Gaia-X is an initiative launched by a major company in the aerospace and defense sector. So you have the companies at the bottom of this slide. So Airbus is one of them. But we have also as members, of course, industrials, but as well standardization organizations such as ISST and AFNet. And our challenge is really to ease the life of companies within the aerospace and defense system to exchange data, because we are in an ecosystem where we need to exchange data. We need to, for instance, for Airbus, we subcontract a lot, and so we need to exchange data.
Antonio took my laptop, my backpack for his.
Christophe. Okay, so our vision, so you will recognize the schemas. We are moving from a top-down approach from the OEM towards a really more data space-centric ecosystem in order to exchange our data. So I will today give a bit an overview of the project. So we are in the very last stage of releasing our V1. So our V1 started in September 25, and we plan to really start it being operative in July this year. So it's tomorrow, with the first phase that is open only to members, but that will last only during the summer, and after summer be open to much more publicly. Starting July, so we will start the data space foundations with all the federated services that we need to put in place. And in parallel, we start rolling out use cases. And this is fundamental for us because we do not have just an exchange of data, but we are use case driven, meaning that we deliver and we develop stuff so that it is useful for end users. And to come back about what was said a bit before, the aim is for us that our end users do not know they use a data space. They will use an application they will have in front of us. They will be able to get access to the data, but they will not know that they are using a data space. Because our end users are clearly not technical people. They can be logisticians within the warehouse. What matters to them is to unpack their pallet and store it. They will not matter at all about what is a data space and why do they get data how do they get data from their suppliers. And I will come back afterwards. We have a V2 that's scheduled for end of this year, beginning of next year. We'll see what are the stakes on that. So at a glance, what we are implementing today is a data space with a couple of services. We don't have all the services that you can imagine within a data space, but we have a first set of it, maybe not in a perfect version or whatever, but it will help us to have something operative. So in terms of usage plan, meaning what we'll deploy at each participant level, we will have, of course, a wallet connector. That for sure we need it to exchange data. And what we add on top is our business application. These applications are really specific to a use case, and they will be to be deployed by each participant. They will all have, at the beginning, the same look and feel, because we are proposing, as Gaia-X, one reference implementation of the use case. Of course, we welcome other implementation. And for instance, as I speak, we are testing such cases where we have developed one applications, and thanks to Aerospace-X, we have other partners that have developed their own applications for the same use case, and we are testing the interoperability between all those applications. This, of course, thanks to common semantic and common processes that has been defined on how this application should work. Last thing we plan to deploy at participant level is something we call backend integration services, because data needs to be sometimes retrieved, not from the application itself, but rather from the company information system. So we plan to have an integration toolkit that each company can use to convert the data from their internal format, be it SAP, be it PLM, be it whatever, to the format that is expected by Gaia-X and to be exchanged with other partners. So that's what is at a decentralized level. And at the federated level, so the management plane, we have deployed one issuer and it's a registry for participant registration. So for the time being, we will issue Gaia-X credentials that are our credentials within our ecosystem. Of course, in the V2, we plan to use and to federate with Gaia-X. I will come back on it afterwards. And the other thing that we deployed is discovery services, so basically a directory of participants and the service they offer, accessible, of course, only by the site participants, not public, but to be used as a utility. And the last part we deployed is the semantic hub, which gathers all the semantics to be used within the frame of Gaia-X. So coming back to the credentials management, within the Gaia-X V1, we will use, of course, SSI that we put in place. Our VC for participants are compatible with what Gaia-X mandates. And we also have implemented, of course, the credential verification once performing any exchange. In our first version, we are using the DCP from the Eclipse Data Space component because it's what's available as of today, and the DSP for the actual data exchange. So consequently, we have implemented the Identity Hub. We have implemented the EDC issuer, and we are using I would say, customized version of the EDC connector, which we call Fraunhofer, that we have built from the upstream EDC, taking some extension from Tag26, from Factory-X, and from Aerospace-X as well, to build our custom connector. But the setup is not what is meant to last, because in version 2, we are aiming to move from DCP world to an OpenID for VC world. And for that, of course, we need a wallet. So I heard just before that there was some solution. We could benchmark and see how it fits with our model. And to replace the issuer with Gaia-X Digital Clearinghouse with the extension by our own clearinghouse for our specific ecosystem-specific VCs. This is our goal, and to keep using the EDC or EDC V, because we think it can be useful for SME deployment, for instance, and not customizing it that much, but using it as a standard, and of course with the OpenID for VC extension. And this is where we have some large dependency on this OpenID for VC availability, because if we expect the exchanges to work, it means that all those components, whether it is for issuance or presentation, we need to support the protocol, and we cannot develop it by ourselves. We need the clearinghouse to be upgraded, and as I discussed this morning, it seems to be on a good way, and for the connector part, I think it's almost ready. So let's follow up on this topic. What we have also developed is a semantic hub. So semantic hub is already live. You can have you have the URL on the slide, and this is something you can use. For the time being, it's still on the test because we don't have our full production environment ready. And in the semantic hub, we have three aspects. We have at the bottom the aspect for our author, to be able to manage the life cycle of the ontologies and every model we put within the semantic hub. So this is for development purpose. And it also offers a UI that is machine readable for the application to check and to implement the models. But it's also human readable, so you can find documentation about models. So if you want to have a look, feel free, it's public. One specificity you may have noticed on the previous schema is that today our applications are not dynamically checking the models. We don't have the time, to be clear, to implement that for our very first release. It is planned in the future, but it's only used at the time of development, so we download and use the models. It's implemented within our business applications, but it's not checked once when the data is being exchanged live. On the use case, so just to give you an idea of what we are implementing. So in V1, you see we implement 5 use cases, some on the data exchange for engineering. So it's one of the area where we see it's valuable to be able to exchange safely data with exchange of technical data in MBSE models. We have also a use case on product conformity, where we need to have the traceability, for instance, of our certificate of conformity and or release certificates. And we have also an exchange about export control classification. So what is the classification of any part we take from our suppliers? And there, it's also interesting to have the full chain of a part, because it's made of subpart and so on. We need to have all that gathered in one place. And the last one is critical stock monitoring. So how the production planning from the supply chain is matching with our own production planning as OEM. So this is what we develop. And we also try to make it easy for developers to jump in, because it's not something brand new that we do each time. We do not develop an application from scratch, but we have put in place some templates that can be reused and customized. So technology is on React and Node.js. And these templates, in fact, contains all the connectors to, for instance, use the EDC, use the federated services, and so on, so that developers do not have to re-implement that each and every time they develop a new application. Few words on the development strategy. So for the time being, you cannot see anything public on what we are doing, except the models. But this is something that is planned to occur and to be made public during this summer. So we have already the GitHub organization in the name of Gaia-X, because now we are a proper association, we can have that kind of repository. And we are currently in the process of moving from our old repository that was managed, to be clear, in an Airbus account for the first development, to this new repository. And what is taking time is to ensure that it is properly published with the license accordingly. Apache 2.0 for everything related to the code, and Creative Commons for the semantic models. So as well, you will be able to have a look at what we do, reuse, and contribute if you wish, normally during summer. Last thing, so this was for what we develop. Now, how do we plan to operate? So as a data space, we need to deploy our federated services somewhere. And for this first version, we have chosen to operate by ourselves, so as Gaia-X, on an environment that is provided by one of the members, so Thales, not to name them. And so we are deploying all these services, so discovery services, the issuer, and the semantic hub on the Sense platform, which is a trusted cloud platform, so certified SecNum Cloud by the French IS Security Agency. And that, as this platform is brand new, this is why we have an early access only for limited numbers so as to check that we are not endangering the platform and so on. And we will open fully normally in September. But that's not everything that we have set up in order to run our ecosystem. Sense is what we will use for production, but to develop and to test, especially, we had an earlier need to have something available. So we set up something. This time is running on AWS for the sake of being fast and cheap, but it is only for test. So no real data, no real usage of this platform. And on this platform, it serves several purposes. We can have a sandbox for developers, so meaning if you want to develop an application and test how it behaves with federated services, we can onboard you in there, and you will be able to use the test management plane, because we also run a test issuer, registry and semantic, and so on in this platform. And what is most interesting is the bottom part, where we are able to create on-demand environment for user testing. And we can instantiate several environments with connector, wallet, and business application, so that company that wants to try what is our data space, try what are our applications, can come and play. And this can be used, of course, for our functional testing, when we need to test with several companies to simulate a multi-tier chain or whatever. We can instantiate it there, but it will be used for sure in the future for demonstration and even training. If you want to be trained on an application, we can have an environment dedicated where users can play and make any mistakes they want. We don't care, it's tests. And the last thing we have, more dedicated to SMEs, is what we call the Essential Pack. And this is to answer to a challenge, because the original founders of Gaia-X are big companies. So we have large IT teams, we know how to operate. Everything you see is managed by on containerized environment. This is why we have deployed them on AWS, but as well on Sense, without too many issues to go from an environment to the other. This is valid for all the things we deliver. But we plan to make the Essential Pack the entry gate for SMEs, saying you will have an environment with everything you need from the onboarding. And there I've heard many things that could be interesting on how to generate easily credentials for people not having any IT skills, to know what is a credential, and I think Jonas will talk about it a bit later as well. We also provide a common, simple IAM system to manage the IAM of users within the application, not within the data space, really for the applications. And of course, wallet and connector. Our applications, so the reference implementation of what we have with an app catalog to come. And of course, backend integration, as I said before. And the last thing we plan to put in is maybe an AI engine. And this AI engine is something that any application being part of Gaia-X can rely on. It's really to mutualize this engine. And we plan to do it, as we do for the others, respecting the sovereignty of each participant. So our reference implementation most likely will be a local AI engine, saying, okay, you will not send your data anywhere to any others. Of course, it will request a bit of hardware to run it, fine, but with that implementation, you are sure it will not go anywhere. Of course, there will be options to change to your favorite LLM, for instance, if you have one, not to use the light one we put inside, but if you have something more powerful, feel free to use it, but it will be participant's choice to switch from one to another. And so this Essential Pack is meant to be deployed in self-hosted mode, but for the first version, we plan to promote as well a SaaS mode, saying any participant can choose their favorite integrator company and say, please run that for me. I think it will speed up as well the onboarding and the adoption for participants. And now I'll let the floor to Jonas to talk a bit about what could maybe be part of these components.
Yes. Last but not least, I want to talk a bit about a tool we developed in Aerospace X. It is called the SME web tooling, and it should be more or less like a one-stop shop for communicating with your connector and communicating with your data space. And why we call it SME web tooling? Because it's really easy to get started with that. It's basically an UI for connector interaction. Yet someone could say there is also the data dashboard out there for the interaction with connectors. But we have something that is really connected to our presented testbed there. You can log in via your SSI and XRP key. To build the bridge to Gaia-X here, we have looked into the Gaia-X credential helper and built upon our Aerospace X credentials upon the Gaia-X credentials here, and implemented an own version of the Gaia-X credential helper within our backend, which provides you with more or less custom Aerospace X credentials that are also building the bridge to the Gaia-X credential because they are interoperable, and I think that is really beneficial. And we also want to bring back this development we did back to the Gaia-X credential helper repository there. And also want to go open source with that solution, but things are more to come here. We have to look into the legal reasons there, but we're planning to do that. And I think we are now short on time, so if you have questions regarding to that SME web tooling or want to have a short look into it, we can maybe have a quick chat after or in some lunch break or something like that. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.